Hello, everybody. I am Sun Psychic Jean, and please welcome my very special guests today, Heather and Priscilla from the Crone Zone.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
And a lot of us here in this community already know Heather and Priscilla from the Crone Zone, and we love their channel and we love their inspirational body of work. And I just wanted to bring you both in and chat a little bit about what it takes or what it took for us to get to this point in our lives, and also what's going on now and what to expect maybe in the near future. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I see you here in the chat. Thank you very much. So let me just start with just a little bit of a brief background, and then we'll get into the what made you who you are today, and just in a few sentences. No.
Yeah, in one sentence, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, Heather, why don't you begin and just let us know a little bit about how you started becoming interested in the metaphysical and the spiritual type of environment and
She been talking to ghosts since she was a baby girl.
I was going to say, I've been doing it forever and didn't know it. And I was in a more restrictive environment. In other words, this was all frowned upon. So I didn't do a whole lot of reading until I was out of the environment, and not only out of the environment, but out of the environment and my first marriage when he died. Okay. But I did do things like I do remember somewhere in the second or first grade reading something about somebody who had healing hands. And when my dog got hit by the car and she got home, I said, okay, let's try this. And so I was healing her with my hands and with other energy. I also, but didn't realize it at the time, was traveling, because when my dad came home and he
You mean
said,
remote viewing? Is that what you mean?
yeah, but I was actually there. But when my dad came home and said, well, the vet was going to spend the night with her, and if she made it through the night, she'd make it. And I remember seeing him leaning back in his chair, sleeping against the wall with her in the kennel opposite him. I had never been there, so I didn't know what it looked like. But later on, as a junior high person, I worked there. And when I walked in, I knew exactly where I was. I knew exactly where her kennel was because I had been in that room before. So it was kind of validation. Oh, that's what I thought it would look like. But I didn't realize that I had been there or seen it.
Do you think it was astral travel? You said you were actually there. That sounds more like astral traveling.
That's why I was saying, yeah, because I was actually there, because I could turn around, but it could have been remote viewing because, again, I could turn around and see the whole room and see everything. So it was very, very different. I knew what she looked like when she went in. That was a remote view. I didn't actually get in the car with her with my dad. I just knew she was a mess. Wow. And but when she came home, I was working with healing hands because I'd read about it. Didn't know about how to do it. I was just doing it. There were a lot of things I did as a kid that I didn't know that I could do, and that it was a gift. I just thought I had a really good imagination, except for the lady at the bottom of my bed. When I was a kid, there was this lady that I'd wake up at night and look down at the bottom of the bed, and there was this lady standing at the bottom of the bed. And it was one of those that had a foot of wood, so she was leaning on it.
A footboard, yeah.
Yeah.
So
the crap out of me.
So I saw dead people for a long time. I mean, it got to be that she was there so often that I finally wake up, look, oh, it's you, and go back to sleep, But I've done all sorts of things all through my life that I didn't even know I could do.
And so this led you to try and find out as much as you could about the other realms and what the possibilities were in the metaphysical field. And so you
Sort of.
were an avid reader. You would mostly read books or
I went to classes. There was
oh,
somebody who was talking about, there was, and he was good at what he did. He could only go so far, I think. But what he did well. And I really became much more interested in it as I met Priscilla and during COVID.
very much a
COVID was
catalyst here. So that's a good segue. Priscilla, tell us a little bit about how you became interested in the spirituality and metaphysical world.
my entire life. I've been interested in the metaphysical world. My parents were Rosicrucians. They, which I tried, but really too many rituals for me. But I was an avid reader. I was reading Bridie Murphy and all kinds of things back in the late 50s and 60s. And, but life gets in the way. You get married, have kids. You just kind of, but I was always kind of into astrology and numerology. You had all the books, even Cosmopolitan, you could get your astrology there, all that kind of stuff. At that point, was pretty much all you could get on it. There was very little at the bookstores. But I think my husband, we moved back from England in 2003. And all of a sudden he started showing psychic abilities. And I'm like, what's going on here? Well, he hadn't told me for years what was going on because he thought he was nuts. So I really got interested because he would wake up in the middle of the night and he would sometimes be speaking a language I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And I would try to record it. And as soon as I'd try to record it, nothing would happen.
Oh,
but,
geez.
At that point, I was meditating every day. And I'd been going to psychic fairs around the area I lived in Texas. And we had a ranch in Springtown, Texas. And there was actually quite a big metaphysical community in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we went to these monthly meetings, and I kept getting told I was a healer, and I was like, I was a nurse a long time ago. I'm not into healing. I don't want to touch blah, blah, blah. I'm done with that. However, my sister and I were reading a book on energetic healing. We ran the Gypsy Cob Society of America. We started it when I moved back from England. I brought Gypsy Cob horses into the country, and my sister and I, with my friend in England, started the registry here. But we were always reading metaphysical books, and we read The Reconnection by Eric Pearl, and he's an energetic healer. And it's called The Reconnection. You reconnect the meridians in the body. And well, all of a sudden I had a sentinel, a guide. Through my husband, I would get information. He would download information and give the information to me. And I was fascinated by it. He thought he was nuts. And I'm like, more, give me more. I want to know more. Who are you talking to? Where are they from? And things that he really wasn't interested in knowing. And I was more.
Wow.
Myself, I didn't have any psychic abilities, but the healing, I started working on my horses. It was phenomenal. They took to it. So they loved me working on them. So that was interesting. So my friend had lost her building, and I had an extra building. David had retired, and I had an extra building. And we turned it into, I'm going to say, my first goddess center, because I think there's another one coming up.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, they just gave me chills.
I've been told if I would build it, that people would come, but it's not supposed to be
sure.
Not in Denver.
But that's how I met Heather.
Yeah.
Heather came to a fair that we had at the Goddess Center, And my husband said, "You two are supposed to work together." And we said, "Well, I don't know about
I
that,
think
but we'll give it a go."
so.
And we were doing yoga classes at the center, and like 5 days a week. And I was really into yoga. And but I would also have these metaphysical fairs where I would ask people with healing modalities that were different than mine, so that I could learn more about other things. And I mean, cupping and bio whatever, some of it was hands-on, some of it was computer stuff, but it was all kind of interesting. And then I got into essential oils there because there was a lady that taught about essential oils. So Heather and I both took her
Yeah,
classes.
we learned a lot about it.
And I went off and started hand making lotions and potions to sell, and sold those for a while. Meanwhile,
Wow.
Heather and I met,
And
asked the yoginis to come in for an afternoon for us to work on them together. And Heather, you kind of want to tell them what happened that day? That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, but before we do, I wanted to give you kind of like something I found very interesting between the two of us. It's funny how they put us together, because if you look at academic education, she didn't have the college stuff I did, but she's got all this knowledge that I never had a chance to get through all of her reading, whereas I just did things. So it's funny how we got put together as like opposites. Together we're complete to me.
And the funny thing is I, with my nursing background, I knew about the body. But she's the one that would go in to literally, she can pick up an organ, cut it apart, find what's wrong with it, take it out, heal it, and put it back in the body visually. Wow. That's what Heather's able to do. Yeah, my forte was identifying areas that needed to be looked at and working on the brain. Mine was working, and my specialty.
I'm the one with the psychology stuff. And she worked the brain. She's got the body stuff. I worked the body.
So she would try to tell me where she was, and I could figure out what body part she was in, even though she didn't know.
I didn't know.
Because she was looking at it so minutely. So our healing work is amazing, and we called it evolution therapy, and we worked from 2012 to 2015.
We're still doing it. It's just that we don't have to be together to do it. And we can draw on each other without doing that.
I love the name evolution therapy. And this is
really did evolve.
It evolved, and it can't be taught.
I think that before we came on here today, we were all talking about how many years, 25 plus years, that we've all had different encounters, different education, different experiences, but it all built upon one another. Each one deepened our understanding and our energetic awareness. And it's not, even though we've only been on YouTube for the past couple of years, it's not our experience and our education, as far as, I don't want to say education, but our experience with all of these different modalities and concepts. And I keep going back to experiences because it really makes a difference when you live through it and you experience it, and then apply it, and then repeat. It's really important. It's for the past 25 years, we've had our spirit guides leading us. And
oh my God, yes. When you look back and you're like, oh my God, here to here. Oh, I get it now. Oh my God, here to here.
And when we even now when we're doing the programs that we're doing, I really feel like, okay, I'm doing the research most of the time, but that's because I hadn't done it before. She takes it and puts it all together. She's really good at that. She's really good at that.
So and all of this led to the Crone Zone. You both were led to begin
Oh,
this.
they nagged me for years.
Kicking and fighting and scratching all the way, right?
Yeah, kicking and screaming is how we got our YouTube channel started.
And I just wanted to show everybody some of the things that the ladies cover on their channel. It's the Crone Zone, and
Wow.
one of the items is ghosts, remote viewing, the central sun, universal laws, divine grace, acceptance, mystical experiences, Christ consciousness, Schumann resonance. No, sorry, Schumann resonance. I think I spelled that wrong. Spiritual discernment, downloads, manifesting. There's concepts that are important to sort of dissect, understand, and grasp and conceptualize these this in a spiritual understanding, that the gravity and the to really understand some of these concepts and experiences and different, what else would you call them, spiritual,
Well,
I don't
a
know.
lot of terms are used that nobody knows what they are. We end up talking about.
Trying doing a lot of explaining and describing what
Right.
things are, but it's pretty basic information on each of the subjects. There's not.
Yes.
Some of them we'll do a second video on to go a little bit more in depth, because the information is so bloody important that you can only take it in little bits. So most of the shows, the information part of it's only about a half an hour. And then we like to go read cards or interview somebody or whatever.
To give your brain a break.
You have to give your brain a break. I have learned so much in the last 2.5 years doing this channel.
Yes.
And a lot of it is introductory, which is so important for our community here to be introduced to some of these concepts and, practices and terms and, and experiences. So you also cover how the universe was created. I was like, what? How the universe was created? Spiritual integrity.
We were told to do that.
Yeah.
And we were told what to use to get the information for it.
Wow. Spiritual integrity, frequency and vibration, crystalline network. We've heard all of these terms. Atlantis. They did shows on Atlantis. Imagination and spirituality.
A lot of that information was channeled. We were really getting a lot of push what to say and how to word things, and we get the information from somebody else that had channeled it, but I was inundated with more information as we went along. And that's usually what happens with our shows, is that we get the basic information, and as before I even start preparing the show, I ask my guides and whoever's the expert on this particular subject, whether it's Jesus, Gandhi, I don't know, whoever it is, please come in and help me get this right. So that's pretty much how we do every single show.
She's a fantastic channeler. It's not something I can do. We each have different gifts, but she's fantastic.
And you would think that eventually you would run out of ideas and concepts, but no, it just keeps multiplying, doesn't it?
We were really scared. We had this huge list when we first started, and all of a sudden it went zoop, because we were doing
now what?
And we were like, now what? What are we missing here? And we had to kind of dig deep and go, like I said, do a second show on some things that we thought were ready to go a little deeper. But it's really cool for anybody at any level, because it never hurts to get a warm, brush up on things, like we're taking classes and stuff. We still take classes. We go to practice sessions every week, a couple of days a week, a couple of times a week. it's our life. This,
Mhm.
or at least it is mine. This is
Yes, it's pretty much once you get what like moving, kind of moves you out of the way for a little bit, and then you come right back to it because our living takes some time, but that's our basic life. But I was going to say, when we run out of things, I find that as I watch somebody else, something will come up and they'll say, do a show on that.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. We
And so then we
definitely
write down another
show.
thing that we need to do a show on.
Somebody
So,
asks you about this and you're like, okay, let's look into that and do a show on it. And life teaches us and shows us. And some of the things, some of the concepts that are brought to my attention, I'm like, Jean, it's something that I feel passionate about talking about. And they're telling me to work on my energy. They're telling me to remember to focus on, the divine spark in myself. They're telling me to work on my
Absolutely.
auric field and things. And they're telling me about the shift. And these things are what I find in my meditations and in my dreams and just in my everyday life. And this is what you turn around and you teach everybody. I think that you're both beautiful, wonderful teachers, but you have the experience and you have the energetic vibes that you come from this place of experience, this place of no ego, this place of unity consciousness, and you just open up and allow everybody in this community to join us on this journey that we're all on. And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
well, it's like she announces every once in a while, before the show starts. We're just two old crones who have been through a lot of stuff, and whatever we say, take what resonates and what doesn't, throw away. We're just trying to share what we've been doing, so you know that you're not the only one.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not the only one that thinks you're crazy because you're hearing voices in your head.
I can't tell you, I would be a millionaire if I could tell you how many times she asked me if she was going nuts when she started channeling.
Yeah.
Wow.
The COVID thing really
Mhm.
kicked everything into our spiritual search into high gear.
And
And
it was total.
we were totally immersed. I was channeling. I didn't know what I was doing. What is going on? I mean, I was fascinated by it, but I was also, I need to learn how to protect myself and all of that. So I started watching all the channelers on Gaia, the different videos, interviews with extra dimensionals. And I learned a lot watching those experienced channelers and how they did it, because I was trance channeling mostly.
Yeah.
Now I very rarely trance channel.
Now you know it. And I get messages, but not, I wasn't then, or I didn't. I'm not saying I wasn't getting it. I wasn't.
You just weren't recognizing it.
I wasn't recognizing it. Yeah.
Oh,
And I would say
that's
that during COVID, the only time we took a break from what we were learning and working with was when we went to the ocean and to breathe in the ozone and believe it or not, play a game. So
Well, that's interesting, because I think a lot of people in our community feel the same way. They say, somebody asked me, what are the messages that I'm missing? Am I missing the messages? How many messages from my spirit guides am I missing? And I thought that was a really interesting
That is an
question. And I
interesting
said, I had my pendulum and I said, is she missing 90% of her messages? No. So it got to be like 50% of her messages that she misses, but she gets 50%. So I said, I want to find out. Yeah, I want to find out for me. So I said, how many messages am I missing? It said 90%. It said no. I said 75%. It said yes. So I'm missing 75% because I'm talking to the other side, but I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to really
I'm
focus.
afraid to use my pendulum on me.
How many messages am I missing?
Oh my God, I'm scared to do it now.
I think we all get them eventually, but how many times do they have to repeat it before we get it?
I know. I know.
Well, I
And
think I have always considered myself really hard-headed, and I usually beat my head against that wall at least 3 times before I get it.
mhm,
I know
I
that
think I'm
feeling.
better now the older I get. I don't think I'm
mhm.
quite as hard-headed. I think I'm more open.
I think we are more accepting of ourselves. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can hear them better.
Mhm. And it's not for me, it's not an exterior voice or an alternate voice. It mostly comes from within me that I feel inspired or motivated,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it's incessant sometimes. And so I know that that is a spiritual motivation or inspiration. It's not from my analytical mind. It just pops up and I can't stop thinking about it, you know.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
not
Like
a
me
guide
in
that I
van
hear.
conversions.
Pardon?
Like me in van conversions.
And,
It
and,
popped in
and
my
me
head and I couldn't quit. I
with
have a van being converted as we speak.
Yeah, the last time I did remote viewing, and I even talked to Priscilla about it, I says, I kept getting thoughts in my head and I'm writing everything all down, going, is this me or is it them telling me this? But then when she did the research and started telling me what, because I hadn't done any research first, telling me what she was saying, you know, what she found, and I'm going, that matches up, that matches up. Then okay,
What
I guess
she's
they were messages and not just me. You
What
know,
Heather's referring to is we're now doing a new show, and monthly it's Heather's remote view of somewhere interesting.
someplace.
Oh,
So
neat.
what we're doing is I'm doing the research on what I can find out about wherever it is. I think next month is Mount Shasta, so that's
Yes,
easy. I
it is.
have books on Mount Shasta,
Right.
and so I'm doing the research, but she doesn't see it until after she's already done her remote view, so she has no idea. I don't know what she's seen, and she doesn't know what I have. So that's
Even if I send it to her, I think she's kind of like me, oh, wait a minute, that's going to influence me. So she doesn't read it. But I have enough to fill in the space.
That's fascinating. You ladies are so courageous and amazing
it's
that the
fun.
content that
It
you put
is
out.
fun.
It
That's one
is
of my more fun times. I mean, the actual remote viewing is a little different. I have done Mount Shasta when we were there. So I'm going to recopy that and continue looking to see what else I've missed for this one. It could be a little
Well,
long.
you're more adept with your remote viewing skills. The more you do it, the more you
Yeah, the
learn,
easier
the
it
better you
is.
get at it. Like
And
it's practice with anything, right? Any of
mhm.
our skills.
absolutely,
And the
absolutely.
last time was the first time I've jumped time too. Usually I just
Now,
see what's
that is the
there.
really cool
This
part.
one, yeah, I found it really cool. I said, okay, so I see these ruins. What was it like when there were people there? All of a sudden there were people there. And I was back in that time. So I was jumping time too. So it was able to answer questions for me and I really liked that.
Mhm.
That's so
And
cool.
it it is something that's accessible to all of us, but it's important for us to work on our development and our own working through our own um, issues or our own uh, just our development,
Yeah,
finding out
our
who we
shadow work.
are, why we're here, what we're all about, why we're interested in this. And I know that there are thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people, that are here on Earth at this time for this new shift to a new
Oh,
dimension,
absolutely.
a new
Oh,
energy,
yeah.
and this is all building on each other and on each concept or each show or each learning. It all builds onto each other so that, or I keep saying each other, but it builds on one another. And I can't
What's,
get that right. It
well,
builds on each concept, builds on
There you go.
another concept, and
right.
it grows and it develops and it takes time, it takes persistence, it takes energy work, it takes focus, and it takes fun. When you ladies said you're having fun, that is like 50% of it. It's
Mhm.
so important. Don't say, "Oh, I can't hear my spirit guides."
If
It's
we
not
didn't
that.
like what we're doing, we wouldn't be doing it.
That's for sure. I'm
Because
retired. I do what I want to do.
it's work,
It
but it is fun work. And
It's work. It's challenging, and I absolutely love it. And I can't believe I'm even saying that because I fought so hard not to do it.
right. And of course, we're all going towards the world that we want, which brings us to Tuesday's show, which is 5D World.
Oh, it is good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What's
The new
our
Earth.
5D world going to look like? You
Yeah.
know,
Wow.
what does it
The new
look
world.
like? So
Well,
we'll see.
I think we get glimpses of it. I think that
Mhm.
from what I understand, we're going to be us, and we're going to be in a human body, whether it's very similar to this, or if we're going to be a lighter frequency of a human body, as well as maybe embodying our spiritual vibration in this human body. And also, we'll be on Earth, but Earth will also have a new frequency and vibration, a new essence to it, so to speak.
Well, Earth is ascending too.
Mhm, mhm. That's a fascinating show, ladies. And the way that you can find Priscilla and Heather is to go over to the Crone Zone is the name of their channel. I have the link here, and I have the link in the show notes below. And I think that it is it. I've always, since day one when you ladies started your show, I thought it was a beautiful format, a lovely way
Thank you.
of introducing.
Hello.
Oh my, she froze. Well, we did have help with the format.
We absolutely did. We'll have to give credit to them for sure.
Yes. I wonder if everybody can still see or whether it's just run through hers.
I think it's just Jean. We'll just wait till she gets back.
Okay.
Can you guys still see us?
Or hear us? You see her. Okay. Thank you.
We see you both. Well, Jean, where did you? Okay, she's coming
she's
out.
starting
She
over.
went out and come back
Okay.
in. Yeah.
That's all right. So, yeah. We just don't want any.
Okay. They were seeing exactly what we were seeing. Jean was frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Jean,
Thank you for your help and letting us know.
You never know. It's technical difficulties. We're in a G3 magnetic storm right now. If you haven't watched Stefan, go watch him. He'll tell you what all's going on. So it's no wonder I would imagine that electronic issues are a problem here and
Well,
there.
we think about last night. You had power go out, and there was freezing going on, and there was a whole bunch of stuff going.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was. So.
Yeah, I had power and half my house go out, and I ended up doing our show from the kitchen.
And
that was with Valerie. If you guys haven't seen that, that's Valerie Bradshaw and Illumination Portal. She did a show on with us on the new moon last night.
And Sun's Like It Jean said it was her internet, so she'll be back.
No worry, girl.
Yeah, we'll give you a minute. Take it easy. So we're used to every once in a while having things happen. They have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She'll be back.
Yeah.
Momentarily, I'm sure. Until then, anybody have any questions they want to ask us? We're more than happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. I was going to say, Priscilla doesn't do that much except for personal oils and lotions and things, but she's really good at it because she finds substitutes for me because I am allergic to a lot of it. So,
I don't have the equipment to make anything anymore, really.
You got rid of it?
Oh, yeah, I got rid of everything.
There you are. You're back.
I tried to get you on my phone. I don't know if you saw me.
Oh, I did.
Don't have my phone. But we saw you leave a note there. So
Okay, good. So my lights flickered and I thought, oh, that's weird. And I turned back and everything was like, you weren't there. And I couldn't tell if I was live. And I was like, just hang on 1 second. And then the whole thing just shut down. So
Yeah, you froze
it
for a
was,
while first.
yeah,
We're under a
it was
G3 magnetic storm, Gene. I was watching
oh,
Stephen Burns before while I was putting on my makeup, getting ready for the. I was listening to Stephen Burns, and yeah, he was talking about. I don't know. He's just amazing. If you guys haven't listened to him, you've got to go listen to him talk about. He's. What do you call people that study the sky like that? I don't know if he's an astronomist or I don't know, astrophysicist,
maybe astrophysicist.
I don't know what you are, but he's amazing. He's also into astrology and spirituality, and his channel is fantastic.
Yeah, we were having a few storms earlier, but I don't think it's that. Looks like they've passed. But sorry about the interruption, everybody. Oh, Craig said she's coming back. Thanks, Craig. You got my back. I appreciate
he
that.
definitely had your back.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So what we were talking about is the 5D and the shift and the evolution and just the change in humanity and the change in Gaia. And it's really important to work on our self-love, our spiritual connection, our connection to the divine. What's that?
I was going to say number one is self-love.
Yeah. But the other part of it is, go ahead.
That to me changed everything for me when I finally learned to love myself no matter what. This is just one little lifetime out of gazillions.
Yeah. And I've got to say, she's absolutely right. When I finally began to be comfortable with myself, I could hear a lot more things. I could see, not see, imagine in my head, because I don't actually see pictures. Some people say they see like reels going around and watching the picture. I don't see those, but I do see images of and know what something looks like. And I guess somebody wants to talk to me about a dream. I had a friend and she was describing the dream. And I said, okay, is this over here and this over here? And this, because I put myself in it. And then I knew where she was, which surprised both of us. And, it's before I did a whole bunch of stuff, but she's absolutely right about we're number one. But the other part is that when you're thinking about the new world and 5D, you've got to be thinking in terms of outside the box, as big and great things that you would like to have as you could possibly have, because there is no possibility that can't be done.
The potential is endless. Yeah, potential is endless. Universe has our back. It's us that screw it up with our fears and anxiety and all of that nonsense.
And the conditioning that we've been brought up with. And
absolutely.
That you have to go to college and you have to get a job that at this big giant corporation where you sit into a little cubicle and that you have to,
God, I hated that job.
It's work on your creativity, work on making yourself happy, and do this one decision at a time. If you have, like, let's say you have spaghetti sauce on the stove, you have the macaroni ready to go into the water, and everything is there, and you're just like, I really don't feel like making spaghetti today. I don't know why I made all this stuff. And you just feel like having a tuna fish sandwich and watching, something on Netflix, whatever, and honor that. Don't say, well, I made all this, I'm going to have to eat it, and force yourself. It's important to honor our decisions and what we want. And you say, Gene, that's one little decision. How's that going to make a difference?
Every choice makes a difference.
It does. And it makes we know what it feels like to
the vibration of that choice
we want. And then each time we choose what we want and don't negotiate that. And I understand we have families, we have, spouses, we have, obligations.
Life.
But where you can, make that choice that is for you and in your what your desire is.
And your highest good.
You'll understand what that feels like. You feel what that desire and what meeting that desire and honoring that desire, what that feels like, so that when these things, bigger things come up, you're going to say, you know what? I don't desire that. I've really desired this. And
I choose this.
you'll have the history of it working for you, and opening up more for you to know that when I choose what I desire, it's going to move me in the direction of raising my energy, raising my frequency, and connecting me to my spirit, because it's our soul's vibration that gives us these desires, that wants to create through us. And this
Wants to
the
create
soul.
joy. They want us to be joyful.
Right. And that's a really good reason to change something. But I was going to say, remember, we are given choice. It's not predestined. That's why nobody can really tell you the future. Anybody who makes any decision different than what they would have made at this particular moment, next moment they might make a different. That's going to change the future, because it goes and rebounds all through. That's the reason you can't tell the future. But it's a gift to us to let us choose. Don't be afraid to do it.
That's where our power is in choice.
It's in our
That's
free
what
will
the
and our
free will
choice.
is. And you say, I'm in a dead end job. I don't have any place to live. I don't have any choices. It's just beginning one choice at a time, one step, each action, stepping into the direction that you would like to go in. Is it in favor of this direction, or am I self-sabotaging? Is it my idea that I can't do it, or is it really that I can do this, or what can I do? Not I can't be a singer on stage with a spotlight on me, but I can start toning right now. I can start listening and trying to figure out the notes and try and match them. Take a step to the direction that you would like to.
And yes, and it's in everything. I mean, if you're working with somebody who's depressed and they can't get anything done, you look for one thing in the day for them to get done. That's it. They're a success if they have one thing. If you're working with behavior disordered thing, you don't try to address everything at once. You address one thing. And then you go to something else when you've got that. And it's the same thing with any of our choices. We address one thing. I used to make lists of chores for the day. And I used to say laundry. And I learned that doesn't work. I think you only did one thing. Laundry, load one. And then dry it, fold it, put it away, load two, because you're doing all of that. It's just under laundry. Well, that doesn't help you. If you want to do
it's in the details. It's in the details.
It's in the details.
That's brilliant. I love that. And when we make these choices, and I just lost it, but we want to honor ourselves. We don't want to be selfish, and we don't want to be, it's not that same thing. It's honoring ourselves and making ourselves worthy of having or making a decision, and doing things and making decisions that honor ourselves, because it is in honoring ourselves that our vibration, our frequency raises and changes. And then it also reflects back to us. Once we start doing this, you'll be surprised at the things that pop up around you, and the opportunities and the people that walk into your life. Tell them about the people that walked into your life in Key West, Priscilla. It's so very magical.
Oh my God, that was just bloody brilliant. Heather and I went to Sedona. We went on each went on our own retreat in Sedona, and I finally surrendered to spirit that I would do the YouTube channel, but they better send me the experts, because I knew nothing about how to do any of that sort of thing. I mean, I've been watching YouTube, but I don't know how to do all that stuff. And about 2 weeks later, Heather and I were in a restaurant.
It's our favorite breakfast place.
Our favorite breakfast place in Key West, and the creperie. And
super crowded.
We couldn't. They were super busy, and we couldn't sit in our normal seats. So we were kind of stuck in the banquette, and we were really close to each other on the banquette. And But these two guys were sitting next to us. And, you know, he and I turned around each other and said hi, because I mean, you're like
We
this
just all of
close
us
to each other. And
started talking.
Key West is a very friendly place. You talk to strangers all the time down there.
Not like the rest of Florida.
Yeah, it's very different. And we got in the conversations with these two guys, and the guy next to me, David, he had just bought a radio, or just got a radio station of dance music, and it was in Key West, because he was putting it together down there in Key West, and it was him and his financial guy. No,
Friend.
no, he wasn't financial.
He was
He was the tech guy.
Yeah,
He was the tech guy, and his name was James, and instantly became friends. We started going out to each other, but we walked out of that place, and I turned to Heather and I said, "You know who they are, don't you?" She said, "No, what are you talking
not
about?"
really.
I said, "They're the people that are going to produce our YouTube channel and teach us how to do it."
And they did.
And about 2 weeks later, I was out to breakfast with the tech guy, and I happened to mention it. And we had never said anything about it to him before. And I just happened to mention that my guys are really nagging me about this. And he was like, "Oh, we can do that." Boom, boom, boom. So we picked a day that we thought was significant, 2/22/22. And it took us about 3 months for me to we created a studio in our front room. These guys, I forgot to tell you, David is the director of news in Palm
NBC
Springs
News, Palm Springs.
for NBC, and he just won his 6th Emmy this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
he had quit that job.
He had quit the job,
and then ended up being headhunted back into it.
yeah, and then he ended up back into it. But the guy had won 5 Emmys for news production, and sets up our front room like a studio with 4-point lighting and all this stuff. And it was all from Amazon. It wasn't expensive stuff. It was cheap. We used iPhones for cameras. The only problem was they were using a software that was so damn difficult.
It was way too professional for us.
It was way over our heads.
StreamYard, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was way over our heads. And none of us could figure out how to invite guests on the software. So you, Jean, actually talked us into trying StreamYard.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
that's how we switched over to StreamYard. It took us a while. But it finally just crashed, and I was like, you know what, we're going to StreamYard full time. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
No, yeah. There were some advantages to it, but they were so hard to work with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a beautiful story. And I know that
we're still friends. And we're still
friends. Yeah, we still
very good friends. And when
Um,
I take my van off, my first trip is actually going to be to Palm Springs, so he and I can go up to Joshua Tree, and
yeah, I hope I get to go, but
that'll be another trip.
that'd be a different trip. Yeah, well, you gotta have a dog with you.
I can only sleep 2 in the van.
And the whole, but just, it sounds, I mean, it was, and it is wonderful, but throughout this whole time, you're like doubting. You're like, I'll never be able to do it. These guys, it's never going to work. I don't know what's going to happen. There's no way we're going to be able to pull this off. I mean, it was hard for you to go forward. It was hard for you.
It was.
She ended up crying.
I was terrified. I think I cried the first 3 or 4 episodes.
3 or 4, but the very first one, you thought you were okay, and then I ended up having to catch up for you because you were busy, and
you weren't sure it was going to work. You weren't sure if you were ever going to have another show. You weren't sure if anybody would show up. This is the thing. Everybody's like,
who's going to listen to me? Why does anybody want to listen to me? That's what I'm telling my guys. You're telling me this, but why would anybody want to listen to anything?
Self-doubt, and the fear of the unknown, and the
Fear and nasty people.
no education or experience in doing anything. But I find this, a lot of people are asking me, I don't know what's happening next. I'm like, that's great. That's great. That means that something miraculous is going to manifest for you. And it's
That's
not that it was easy, and it was very difficult moving forward, but we knew deep down something was telling us that this was the direction we needed to move in. This was necessary for the age and the energy and the community that we want
My
to
guides
bring
wanted
along
that
with us.
message out there. They wanted these
Yeah.
messages out there. They wanted the energy out there was the main thing, because the energy that people like us that are in this first wave of volunteers that are really working on ourselves, our energy is transmitted through the wires. The love, unconditional love, the unity consciousness, which is the message we want to spread, is spread unconsciously by each and every one of us in this wonderful community on YouTube.
And
I
the
can't
other,
tell you how beautiful a community I think it is.
yes. And I was going to say that there were other things that we were supposed to be doing together that we needed to be in Key West for both. But it's gotten to the point where I needed to leave because I needed to do something here. She's needing to leave because she needs to do something where she's at.
Yep.
But we still keep the show going. We knew enough about it to be able to just keep going.
I've learned to trust my guides enough that I have sold everything I own.
Mhm.
And I'm living in a B&B temporarily while I have a van converted that I can live in. So I can go buy some property to live on in my van while I'm having a house built. But they're wanting me to go to sacred places and do some things in sacred places around the Northwest and West Coast.
And do
Where
live
I'm
shows
being
from
guided
these places.
So I have no idea what's going to happen.
I know, right?
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
all I know for certain is that I am here for a space of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will be moved to someplace else. That's okay. It's whatever they say. And when I get finished doing
It's
what
an
needs to be done
adventure.
here, then
It
I will be
is.
moving.
It
When
is.
you
And
let
it's
life be an adventure, I mean, when you can let go, and God knows I have my days where I'm like, what have I done? I miss my house. I mean, I have those days.
Yeah.
But mainly,
And-
I trust that.
And missing each other at the beginning was very, very difficult on both of us.
Yeah.
Because we were so used to being together and just pop off a word, oh, she's not here, she can't hear it. You know.
That's
It
different.
was a necessary evolution, and this is what I wanted. And everybody, I'm just running. There's 3 different sets of runners at the bottom here of just some of the shows that these ladies have produced and content that they've covered
So
on their
sweet.
show. Please do go over to the Crone Zone. I'll put the I don't know if I can put the thing in the chat while it's running.
And
Let me
if
just
you
see.
guys have any shows, any subjects that you would like a show on, please send us an email.
Yeah, send us, because it's not easy sometimes to remember or get new things. So any suggestions help. You and
Yeah, and
our
if it's something
channel was
you want to know,
wonderful
even
about-
better.
Yeah, and our channel was wonderful about saying, okay, if there's some place you want me to remote view, let us know. We have a list. But we didn't have before.
And you recently changed the time of your show. You used to do all of your shows at 3 p.m. Eastern,
Mhm.
and you recently changed your show to 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Mountain. Is that the
Right.
time zone that you're in now?
Yeah, we're both
Yeah,
in
They
the
we're
changed
both in
time zones. They changed their time, and how? I mean, not knowing what would happen, and I catch them live more often now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I see you guys. You're live, and we have a whole different audience, and not different, but more of an audience, and
Yeah.
it's
I really
almost
like the new time too. It's 3 p.m. was 1 p.m. here in Mountain, and that just interrupted the day too much.
Well, thankfully, I didn't have a lot of things that I couldn't just put off, because when she was in Key West and we were doing the regular time, it took me a while to say, okay, got to stop. got to do this now. Okay, now I'm finished. You know.
And we're just getting used to the 6 o'clock, but I'm really kind of digging it.
Yeah, it feels very odd for me to have a show and not have to stop in the middle of the day. You know, the whole day. What can you do in the short time in the morning, and what can you do in the afternoon? Because this is all chunked out, and it's not anymore. And I'm going, oh, now what am I going to do? You know.
It's really, these ladies have really dove into a lot of these subjects that are on the forefronts or on all of our minds, and questions that we've all had at one point in time or another. And you never know what's going to inspire you or spark an interest in you or spark a memory in you or activate you. And they also, that's just one part of their show. They also have guests on, and they have regular guests on. They do astrology, new moons, full moons with Valerie. They do guests on. They have the wisdom circle, which is tomorrow.
Which is tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Part of it.
You definitely have to get the plug in for wisdom, sir.
Yeah, because Jean's part of it.
A panel of wise women that get together and discuss spiritual concepts and events. And tomorrow it's going to be Wisdom Seeker Joan is going to be presenting ghosts and experiences with ghosts. What is the name of it?
Ghost busting.
Ghost busting.
That's what she calls it, ghost busting, the wisdom circle ghost busting.
Yeah. And no matter how much we get into this higher frequency in 5D, there's always going to be room for ghosts. I think I've told my story about my ghost, but we'll save it for tomorrow too. But it's just you guys have beautiful energy. You're divinely guided. You have experience and wisdom that is really supporting this community. I know you both support me along the way, and I really do appreciate it. And you've taught me so much about myself by looking at your experience and your lead. So it's
ditto. We all
helped us so much in the beginning. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Oh my God!
Saying it takes a village. It definitely takes a village.
It definitely does. And this is a wonderful village. There's so much love and light in this village, and it gets getting stronger all the time. I really think we groups like us, like this community, are changing the vibration of the collective. Well, so keep doing what you're doing out there, each and every one of you. Every bit of that love you're out there shining, it helps the collective.
And we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, and think about how much it goes up. Even during the show, you can feel the energy rising when we're just talking, and when you guys are all helping us out by commenting on the comments. That helps bring everybody's energy up, and that helps the frequencies stay up, and that helps spread it out. So just being here and participating, it helps not only us and you, but everybody else too.
I love that.
We're on our way. The shift and the transition has already begun, and we're in the midst of it. And we're so grateful to all of you for supporting all of us on all of our channels. And I'm grateful to both of you ladies as well for supporting me and helping me in developing what I'm doing here as well. And
I love how your channel is changing too.
Yeah.
I see you've got big changes on your channel. I love seeing that.
Yes.
It's an evolution.
You can't help but change because you get more ideas and they tell you to do more different things. So you're never going to be redundant. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us, sweetheart. We sure appreciate you inviting us here, and thanks for everybody showing up and watching.
We appreciate it.
Yes.
Thanks, you guys.
We see a lot of friendly faces, familiar faces, and names in the chat. Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you, all of you in the chat. I can't go through and name all of them, but thank you very much, everybody, for being here, for supporting us here today, and for the past couple of years. And
thank you.
Yeah, Yeah,
Thank you.
and I see the evolution in the individuals in the chat as well, and in the
Mhm.
evolution in the questions that are being asked, and
Oh, it's
yeah,
so
it's
amazing.
mhm, mhm, and I really appreciate everybody going over to the Crone Zone and subscribing. We will be having a very special wisdom circle tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and it's going to be Wisdom Seeker Joan is going to be presenting ghost busting, and the whole panel is going to be talking about our experiences and weighing in on what our experiences have been, and just you never know
Oh,
where
that's
the
gonna be fun.
conversation's going to
It
go.
will.
It's
It
always
will.
spirit led.
You're
Always
right.
spirit led.
Right. And if you don't think you know anything when you're there, all of a sudden something pops in your head, oh yeah, I better say that, So it is definitely spirit led.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and ladies, I'm eternally grateful for you. Take
We are
care.
grateful for you too. Take care.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you enjoy this content, hit like, share, and subscribe. Remember to click the bell to be notified of future videos. Thanks again. Bye.